man. I don't even know anymore. Man, we got real close to starting on time today. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the happy hour. Rocking these Diet Dr. Peppers and hanging out with Andrew Heaton. We got Bonnie, the Invisible Wife, and of course we have Justin Robert Young. How are you, sir?
Good, man.
Oh,
How
you
are
are
you?
good. Okay, good. All right. For a second, I thought we had another disaster. Yeah, man. I don't know. Look at that. I just broke everything. I'm going to try to get the quad laser of us. In the meantime, I suppose the only way to get all of us on screen is with this shot from the Benny Benassi satisfaction video. Here, you know what? Just to make it less weird and also more weird at the same time, I'll just hit play. At least we're all on screen. Nope. I'm on screen twice, and there's no Justin Robert Young. Justin, how about just you on screen?
Wait, is that an actual Saw advertisement? That's amazing.
No, this is the actual song. This is the video. This is, have you not seen this from the early 2000s?
No, I haven't, but I want to buy that Saw now.
It's just chicks wearing very short shorts using power tools. That's all it is.
Sign me up.
All right. Let me get back to Justin. Also, I've got Bonnie muted and everything. God, everything's a disaster. I don't even know. Give me a moment. Somebody who is not me, take over.
All right. Well, see, one time I accidentally, I had to cut down this tree, and I almost used a jigsaw instead of a hacksaw. Which can you imagine how long that would have taken?
Heaton, you just drove across the country, or at least halfway across the country.
I did. I drove halfway across the country. I started in LA on Saturday morning, and I slept in a couple of national forests. I think I snuck into and/or broke into a national forest because I don't think it was technically open. But you know what? It's a national forest, which means I'm a part owner. So I went in anyway.
Yeah.
And left no trash, killed no bears. Everything's fine. And then got into Oklahoma, and I'm now on my parents' back porch. I won't go in the house because I don't know if I'm, dripping with COVID or not. So I've exiled myself out here. I slept in an SUV in the parking lot last night, or driveway. My parents aren't that wealthy; they just have a driveway. But I slept in my
they don't
SUV.
have a parking lot; they only have a driveway. Got it. All right.
One of these days, hopefully, we'll get rid of that lawn.
So what is your plan to get a test? It seems like I can't but assume that you just needed to get the hell on the road so bad that you didn't think through the idea that you would need a test before you see your parents.
Yeah, well, my plan had been that I was just going to see them but not stay with them. I was going to stay with one of my buddies, but he works in TV and film and has been actively working in Oklahoma and Texas, and assures me that none of the people he works with remotely care whether or not they get COVID. And so he is probably a walking vector. So it altered my plan slightly.
Okay. So are you going to stay with your friend?
I don't know. So what we've currently worked out with the folks is I should go get a test. We're all on that. But they do have 3 different bathrooms, and they're thinking that they'll just give me one for bowel movements. So if I've got to do that, I can go in there. I'll probably take a shower. I haven't technically done that since Friday, but like zip in.
Wait, the bowel
Since
movement?
Friday?
Zip out.
You slept in 2 parks?
I've been camping. Where was I supposed to take a shower? New Mexico's shut down. You can't do anything in that state. So I've just been, I've been sleeping in a tent and stuff, and it creates a protective musk that no one wants to violate social distance with. So I'm proactively helping people avoid me.
I'm also going to mention that it's Tuesday.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you got me. It's not normal, but I was also schlepping around in an SUV in national forests last few days. Like, there were a lot of options.
Forgive me if I'm wrong on this one, but wasn't the last Rick and Morty episode entirely dedicated to how camping is just code for refusing to engage in proper sanitary behavior?
Did I miss a Rick and Morty episode? Maybe. I don't recall that one. I think the last one
he was too busy living it.
No. Planets only.
Yeah.
If that phrase means nothing to you, then you haven't seen it. Planets only. Young, dumb, and orbiting around the sun. Planets only. Okay.
Can I just say, though, Our national forests are gorgeous. Forests are the best biome. Deserts fucking suck. Fuck you, deserts. Yay, forests.
Finally, somebody has the courage to say it.
Yeah. I don't, you know what? Like, I've decided I don't like, it's not that I like Earth, it's that I like forests, right? Like, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm kind of the opinion if there's not a tree on it or a farm on it, fuck it. I don't want any part of it then.
So Mars,
you know, this is how I think with you, you're a taller guy, your affinity for forests. We now understand how Chewbacca lives on Endor. Like this is we're right. finding out as we talk.
I would be a rock star on Endor. I would totally do that. Endor sounds like a blast.
Oh, you'd crush it.
So go ahead. Well, I was going to ask. You're sort of teasing an idea that, man, I want very much to be very excited for the new Space Force Netflix original, but I am so terribly worried about it being politicized in some way because, after all, it's literally based on our president's mandate that we're going to have boots on the ground on the moon in 4 years, but it's also from a pedigree that I trust, and all of the characters are very, very funny. All the actors are really, really good. I assume they've done some amount of homework on their science and all this stuff. I am very, very interested in where it seems to be headed. Very, very fearful they will make it political when they could have avoided doing so, and I have no idea what to expect.
Wait, who's making it? Because I haven't heard about this. I've heard about Space Force.
Former The Office, also Steve Carell. Also, Schwartz, the guy who played John Ralphio on Parks and Rec. I mean, nice. It's like
all talented people.
Yep, solid thing.
Yeah, okay, you know what? I'm not too worried about it because that sounds like they probably were like they got together and went, I really want to make a space comedy and have a funny uniform like that seems like the immediate appeal to me.
It seems like more of a Pentagon comedy. I think that's
really?
where they're that's where they're going.
Opening first episode
it's more
is
about the
president,
Pentagon being a thing. But I don't know. I mean, unless they have a Trump character, I think that at a certain point you're gonna just be more about the office, literally.
Yeah. Hey, Justin, real quick, would you mind muting yourself on Skype? Because I'm getting real bad echo on my end.
I got myself muted, so I'm not sure.
I am muted on Skype.
I am muted.
Wait, it's probably because I haven't bathed
I'm not.
Friday.
I'm not.
It's
no, that was. I had to call back.
Oh,
that was me.
Oh,
that was me.
Oh.
Fixed. Thank you. Sorry to derail that. Hey, Bonnie.
Nice derp face. Hello.
Sorry.
Way to go. Give me a little warning there. Now, I'm not objective to people being on the moon, but are they going to leave their poop on the moon? Because, I would be upset.
God, I hope
people
they do.
Pooping on the moon.
I love the idea.
We did last time, and apparently it's of great interest to the scientific community because it's sealed. It's in a hermetically sealed container. So it's still being bombarded with radiation because it's outside of the Van Allen belt. And so, if we went back to the moon, we actually need to go retrieve the poop sacks to see if any of the bacteria survive, because that'll be very useful for us in the future in terms of going to Mars and things like that.
We toyed with this question on the Weird Things podcast, and maybe there's a better way I could pose it. But let's say there was the most valuable, clean, efficient, most environmentally friendly, perfect fuel in the world, right? Let's call it helium-3. I actually don't know how good or bad helium-3 is, but let's say there's all the helium-3 in the world and it could power all of Earth for a very long time. However, it exists in a massive crystalline structure in a cavity the size of, 17 Manhattans, right? Beneath the surface of the moon. So you send in the probe and it just happens to be fucking gorgeous. Unbelievable. The light shines in and you get this fractal patterns within patterns within patterns for all of eternity. People wonder, do you realize if a human tried to make this, it would take 17 lifetimes and you'd have to have 17,000 people on staff or whatever. It's gorgeous. However, no living thing is there. How should we feel when Exxon just starts cracking all them crystals and crushing up all that perfect fuel to ship on down to the moon. Like should we feel anything?
I'll weigh in on this. Brian, can I ask real quick, how many forests are in said moon crater?
Zero.
Fuck it. Try harder, moon. Either start growing trees or shut the fuck up.
But you don't understand. It's the most beautiful structure. Mankind. The dude who saw it said Jesus wept and then stared into the face of God when he saw it.
Well, yeah, I'm sure the Facebook group about it. You know, that I'm sure it's had so many big fans over the years. Oh, wait, it doesn't, because no one's been up there. Take a picture. That's fine. That's all anybody's going to care about it anyway. It's not like you're going to have tours. Whatever. Strip mine that shit.
By the way, Supernova Girl called me out. This has secretly all been an allegory for fracking. Like, all fracking is, to the best of my understanding, is karate chopping some rocks and letting more methane come out.
Karate chop.
Yep. And on top of that, like, when we get into this idea of some energy sources are evil and some energy sources are holy, we're not dealing with science anymore. Like, that's not how scientists think. And like fracking has got all this negative press over the last 15 years. So you remember the Kyoto protocols, like that thing that Al Gore wanted to pass, that we didn't sign up for, and everybody was freaking out like America should be leading the world in this. We didn't sign up for it. We surpassed the Kyoto protocols. Like, we didn't agree to do it, and then we pole vaulted over them in terms of carbon emissions because of fracking. Because fracking is so much more clean than coal is. Yeah, and we switched over to that. Should we use it forever? No. Eventually, we should figure something else out. But it's if you're concerned about global warming, fracking is your friend.
Yes, it has led to one of the greatest reductions of carbon emissions in my entire lifetime. If the simplest way I can explain it is, picture something labeled wood. Picture a whole bunch of C. Carbon atoms and very few H's around it, right? And then now picture something labeled sweet light crude, picture fewer C atoms, carbons, and more H's. Now picture something labeled natural gas, very few C's, carbon, and very many H's. And then the only perfect, better alternative over that would be like a fuel cell that's running on pure hydrogen. But absent that, the fuel that is extracted due to fracking is very, very carbon low and hydrogen rich.
Stay home, frack more.
Yeah,
that's right. Stay home and frack. You know what's interesting? Meryl Barr is bringing up like, there's terrible ground level side effects. I don't know that I've heard a terribly convincing argument of what those are. I know that the documentary Gasland intentionally misled people and showed a very highly engaging visual of some tap water being set alight, but that's something that happens naturally anyway and had nothing to do with fracking, as I understand it.
Yeah, you're right on all those points. The gold standard has been the MIT fracking report from 2010. I believe that's the date. And unless something has dramatically changed since 2010, because I haven't done a whole lot of fracking research since that time, as of 2010, when MIT, which is not a big evil energy company, was looking into it, they were like, "Yep, like in terms of negative externalities and spillage, it's still beating the pants off of coal and oil." There've not been any problems with groundwater. They do it so below. It's so far below
the water table,
groundwater's area, that there's not the groundwater table. There's no seepage there. There is occasionally spillage up top, but it's not as bad as what happens with oil tankers, oil falling off of coming out of pipes over land, or just the negative externalities of coal. So I think that the stuff, what is of issue that I think is a legitimate concern for people is the water reclamation process for fracking. So not fracking itself. Fracking is just the karate chop that you referenced earlier. But the water reclamation from the chemicals that they use, that does cause earthquakes. And that's happening. Like, I'm in Oklahoma right now. We didn't have earthquakes when I was a kid. Now there's a bunch of earthquakes. So like, that's a thing. So far,
certainly
it hasn't been causing like.
I would imagine to people in Oklahoma a fairly unusual and scary thing. I would imagine it's fairly unusual and scary to have an earthquake in Oklahoma.
No, that's like
because
really
we're all so used to literal wind tunnels trying to murder us, like things that come down and pick up our houses and throw it across the prairie. But like our house shaking, not a big deal. Not worried about that.
No. I don't like this at all. This is wrong. Like, one, living in Tornado Alley is like terrifying, and then living out in California where you have like, earthquakes is terrifying. You don't put them together because of something that a person did.
I mean, there's one type of person that does. We call them Oklahomans.
Oh, God. Frack your planet. Ooh, sexy planets. That's a reference to the show you hadn't watched yet, Andrew.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. Yeah.
No, I'm I don't know. And there's plenty for me to learn, but outside of it sounding scary, being scary, earthquakes being scary, outside of that, all I know is that fracking has resulted in the greatest reduction of carbon emissions.
I mean, earthquakes, that's not great.
Yeah, so whatever, man. You never seen a planet dance?
They're not ideal, but so I'm saying this as a beloved son of Oklahoma who, to my knowledge, has no vested financial interests in fracking whatsoever. I'm not, like, nobody's paying me to say this, but like when I hang out here in the state, like, you're like, hey guys, do you want to have a crippling statewide recession or occasional earthquakes? Like, across the board, people are like, earthquakes. I prefer the earthquakes.
And meanwhile, you got your phone out. You're like, I'm sorry, I didn't hear pot on that menu. Can we have legal weed?
Yeah, we got the earthquakes and we got pot. What more do you want?
How far along is that in Oklahoma?
Oh, the pot. It's that has been amazing because, like, Oklahoma
really good pot
was. Yeah, no, I remember like Southeast Oklahoma used to be where all the pot was, and they were in these clandestine marijuana plantations. Like I knew a guy; it was his job to fly over Southeast Oklahoma in a biplane, and guys would come out with shotguns and fire it at his plant, which I don't think would really work, by the way, because I think that's too. I could be wrong about this, but I feel like a shotgun would be too dispersed to take out a plane.
All right, hold on. I think I just discovered the remaining 30 minutes of this broadcast. You're saying you don't think you could take down a biplane with a shotgun?
I don't think so. Not unless it was really low, like taking off or landing. I don't think you could do it when it's in the air. I think the range of the shotgun would disperse too quick.
You'd probably only serve to identify closer where your pot farm was.
Wait,
well, no, but see, the reason that they do that though is that you don't own the pot farm. You go into somebody else's farm that's like 500 acres, and you pick 1 acre in the middle, and you grow the pot, knowing that you can harvest it before they harvest the wheat or alfalfa or whatever it is. Get in, get out.
Gotcha.
And so you're just pissed that they're flying over. But now it's legal, so like that might still be happening down there, but it's basically trespassing now, as opposed to like. Schedule 1 narcotic. And Oklahoma was amazing. And I mean, I was out of the state when that happened, but if you were to talk to any legislator prior to that, because it was a referendum, the legislators were like, we should hang drug dealers from trees. Like, drugs are the worst, pot is terrible, all this stuff. And then they put it to a vote to the people of Oklahoma where they're like, should you be allowed to smoke pot in your garage? And everybody was like, hell yeah, I should be able to smoke pot in my garage. And like, churches are like selling it at bake sales and stuff now. Like, the most conservative towns you can think of in Oklahoma will be like Jesus CBD store, Jesus pot. It's amazing. It just like in a day.
Here, I think I figured out how to get all of us into the same shot. Give me 1 second here. There we go. Look at that. Boom. Now we're all in there. Finally. Oh, sorry. Took me a second.
And I'm on top.
How many signs say?
There we are. Yeah.
Wait, so just how legal is weed in Oklahoma at this point?
Technically, it's medical, but it's also so broadly defined that you can go into some doctor drives around in a van, and you hail him and go, my eye hurts.
You see a van going around. It's playing Bob Marley, and then you come running out like all excited.
That's the Oklahoma State Surgeon General right there. and then that guy or gal write you a note, and then you're fine. Like it's basically the way California was like 10 years ago, where it's all but legalized. But in any event, I think that takes quite a lot of the sting out in terms of criminalizing it, because it's
So-
like, okay, maybe you don't have a license to do it, but also we all sort of acknowledge now that it's not heroin.
How long until Texas falls? Because Texas has a fairly pro drug warrior history, and yet Texas is getting increasingly purple these days.
We have CBD places everywhere.
Yeah, but that's nationwide. CBD is code for not real stuff. That's what the
CBD is great.
stands for.
It's like weed that doesn't work.
it's the Diet
My
Coke of weed.
fingers want to say something different.
Yeah. Actually, and for the record, full disclosure, there's a CBD sponsor on Montorogue. The science is not yet in. We're figuring out which parts are CBD, which parts are THC. But if you want to get high, THC still appears to be the way to go.
Wait, the feels. Is that the?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Sorry.
I don't like smoking pot, but I do occasionally eat edibles. And I was in Colorado this summer. I flew back to Oklahoma for a thing. Flew back. All of the edibles I'd eaten had melted and fused into a gummy. Now I'd eaten a gummy at a time prior to this, and it didn't do much. So I was like, I'll eat a gummy-sized portion of this glob, not knowing that the way science works is all the THC
unevenly
dear.
Oh
God,
yeah.
like all the THC like came into the size of a Skittle, and that like I've done some harder, interesting hallucinogenics in my day, and none of it was nearly as bad or frightening as eating too many edibles. That was a terrifying experience that I do not want to repeat again.
So
Yeah,
like
that's a bad time.
Horrible.
like edibles
Yeah,
in general. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna ask, like, edibles in general. I don't know that I've ever had a great edible experience at all, because it's all like buying a ticket, and it'll show up when it shows up, and also once it starts, you don't get to stop. Also, you might go to bed that night and then wake up the following morning to discover that the ride's only just now really started. Like God,
it's terrifying.
No.
I don't care for that. But I think I don't really like pot that much. Like, because like for one thing, I don't like I like talking to people, and I find if I take marijuana that it makes me clam up.
Steals your words. That's what I keep thinking of. I'm like I only have
like,
one thing of value. It's my words. Don't steal them. Oh, they're
I don't know.
I was in
I think we
I
ought
was
to
doing
slip you some.
I was at a 4th of July thing.
Dose me.
3 years ago, and the guy I was hanging out with several people, and they're like, "Here, have a joint." So I smoked this joint. We're watching the fireworks, and then we somehow they get. I'm not involved in the conversation. They get to talking about global warming, and one of the guys goes, the problem is people won't say this. We just have to have no more economic growth. We have to stop economic growth. And I was going, I can't engage. Have to set straight. And I was like,
all that came out was like, wrong.
Yeah. It was just me making the international sign language for a balloon and like gesturing. Yeah, but I think maybe like for people that smoke pot though, because I don't like it that much. I feel like occasionally I just want to get on a good drunk. Like I just want to get hammered. But I feel like for pot, like, is the goal just like, I'm just going to kind of take the edge off and stop? Like, it's just like, it's more of like, an ideally like kind of a minimally invasive drug. Is that the idea?
I'm
going to have a beer equivalent and stop.
You and I might be in a race for the least experienced when it comes to pot on this panel. But one thing I know for a fact is the thought on the first anything I eventually learned was less is more. However much, do less than half of that.
Yeah. Or you remember when Maureen Dowd wrote that New York Times article where Maureen Dowd flew to Colorado, got an edible. This is like 5 years ago. Got an edible chocolate bar marijuana thing, and the guy at the marijuana store is like, eat one bite and then stop. And if you don't get anything, wait 2 hours, then take another bite. She got back to her hotel room and was like, 1 bite seems like nothing. I'll eat the entire bar. So she ate a whole bar of it and was paralyzed for like a day and a half of just sheer terror. But that's the equivalent of going like, all right, here's a jumbo bottle of plastic jug vodka. Have a couple shots, wait, and the person going, no, I'm going to drink the whole thing right now. It's like, yeah, what did you think would happen?
But that's the thing is they don't give kids plastic jumbo bottles to drink when they get off the soccer field, right? You don't have a lifetime of socialization that like, oh, whenever I see a plastic jug of vodka or a plastic jug, I always drink the whole thing. Our entire lives, all we've done is look at a chocolate bar and say, man, that's great. I'm definitely going to eat at least half of it. I'm definitely not going to eat half of one square.
Make it look like broccoli. Make it look like broccoli or Brussels sprouts or something.
My thing is
like,
this. I think that there, and you guys know I'm not exactly a there should be a law kind of guy, but there should be a law on like some of the dosage stuff. And also I think it's morally reprehensible if you're making things that all we've done is been socialized our entire lives to binge eat. Like, especially when like you can get banished to the shadow realm halfway through whatever you're eating. Like, that's just like, it's bad. It's a bad idea. It gives a bad reputation to those things that for like, people who don't like smoking weed, like if you like, do really small edibles, like they're great. They're awesome. They're a really fun time. But the problem is nobody, the entire edible market was made for old hippies who couldn't get high any other way. So it's like, that's why you see edibles that come in like 100 milligrams, because you've just got people that are so their tolerances are like at just God tier, that this is the way that they get high. But as it's becoming more legal, you have this entire section of people that are like, oh, I've always been curious about weed, but I don't like smoking anything. Oh, look at this. It's a bunch of kettle corn. I love kettle corn. And next thing you know, they can't, pronounce words.
1776. And I was frustrated with my podcast mix. Cause I couldn't get the folks I want, except on the Maple Vault. Who the hell knows what that file system does? I really love you,
I can't tell from here if this is Justin or Paul F. Tompkins. Who we're looking at.
That's yes, and that was Nerdtacular. What, 3 years ago? I believe 2017. Yeah,
2017.
Allegedly, somebody was supposed to have one square, but had a whole chocolate bar. I don't know who.
Yeah, one of the people on stage ate way too many edibles, despite being explicitly lectured repeatedly about dosage and what will happen if you do the wrong thing. In fact, one of those people on stage, I was only going to give that one person, that may be me, you don't know, one square, and then he convinced me to leave the entire bar and that he could be responsible. He could not.
Action news.
How about nuggets, chicken nuggets? Go ahead.
Also, Will turns into an American when he sings.
But I need the nug so bad.
Then get him in the song.
So bad.
Guys, you guys think Will's doing a great job right now? Let's go. Chicken nuggets.
Will's not going to remember any of this tomorrow.
It's fine. Who else seen a leprechaun? Say yeah.
Nugs, gotta get them nugs, gotta get them nugs, gotta get them nugs. So I went down to the local fast food place, decided that I was gonna stuff my face, couldn't decide whether to wear sandals or Uggs. They had to choose between a cheeseburger or nugs. Oh, nugs, nugs, nugs.
That's the lesson, kids, is if you eat a whole bar of chocolate with wheat in it, you make jammers of songs.
Yeah.
Wait,
What
So
an
if you're not very
amazing
good at
rally.
music right now, eat a whole bar of chocolate edibles and
Yeah.
you'll be great.
I think it does the opposite. Like if you have 0 words, then suddenly you have lots of words. If you have lots of
Oh,
words,
nice.
maybe you have 0 words.
It only makes you the opposite of what you already are.
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know. I would say that there are over 100 episodes of Night Attack that would say that maybe getting high produces more words than people that already talk a lot.
Yeah. So anyway, drugs. They're great. Everybody do them. Unless you're my kids.
Yes.
In which case,
There we go.
Never.
just very quietly do them.
No. Y'all are obnoxious enough. We don't need to add anything else to the mix.
What else is going on? Hey, Justin, do we have any entertainment news happening these days?
Yeah, personal entertainment news. Did you
What?
hear that our friend C. Robert Cargill, along with his partner Scott Derrickson, are going to be doing a Labyrinth sequel?
Oh my God, I did not know that.
Yeah, he just posted on Twitter
That's
today.
wonderful. Dude, this is a great prize. We definitely just did a Modern Rogue episode in which I learned how to contact juggle, and we talked about Michael Motion, and I made the joke, somebody called Duncan Jones and tell him we need to make a sequel to Labyrinth. Duncan Jones, of course, is David Bowie's son, who portrayed the Goblin King, and Michael Motion did the the contact juggling in it. Man, we either need to get that episode out very quickly or kill it immediately for how wrong that reference ended up being. That's amazing.
Or just get Cargill to just cut in Cargill like listening from behind a pillar. It'd be like, that's a good idea, and then just
That's
like
great.
spin,
That could be the CTA.
spin news like newspaper Labyrinth sequel greenlit.
I think he has,
That'd be great.
I
Please
think
don't
he
let me
needs,
forget this.
like a little pad and paper and ink and like, oh yeah, I'm taking notes.
Oh yeah, I got it. That's
That's a
awesome.
good idea.
Yeah, man. So have they given any significant details about it?
No. All I know is that it's happening. Scott Derrickson's directing. Somebody else is on the script, but it is listed right there in the big story that broke the news that C. Robert Cargill is a co-executive producer on it. So he is going to be
Fantastic.
creatively involved,
That's
which is great that
amazing.
he's getting when he gets the name check there. Like that means that that our boy Cargill's swinging with a low hanger in Hollywood if he gets the Variety mention.
Yeah, but the important thing is I hope it makes a lot of money so he can afford to buy us steaks? Question mark? A little bit more question mark than before. Do you know about our
Anybody.
steak bet, Andrew?
No, I don't.
Cargill was very, very confident that he knew which primary Democratic candidate whose first name started with a B was going to be the winner, and that they were going to win the general election as well. So at this point, I believe Justin and I are both a little bit in trouble in that one of his picks, Biden, is now the presumptive nominee. Remains to be seen whether or not we'll be buying him 2 steaks or he'll be buying 2 for us.
Nice. Okay. All right. Excellent. I like this. I've got a running bet with my old producer on whether or not Hillary Clinton will swoop in and take the nomination. I bet against it, and he owes me a bottle of scotch.
Justin is not even having that discussion. You can't even say that out loud without him swooping in.
In my defense, I've just been pulling him in and going like, I guess I do double or nothing, Jennings. And like we're now up to like I think we're up to
Jennings
$50
did
or
this?
something.
Jennings thought this?
Jennings is convinced that
No
Hillary
excuse.
Clinton,
Unforgivable.
or for a while
No,
he was. I think
no.
he's kind of dipping down now, but
There is an element of Republican that cannot get hornier for the idea of Hillary Clinton coming back into political life. Like it's nothing you can. They are just in love. It doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter logic. Like they just want Hillary Clinton one more time, baby. Let's do it for old time's sake. You come back. We yell at you. And we say things about Vince Foster, and you high road us and get a glossy Vanity Fair magazine cover.
Make
let's
Forrest
just do it all
Gump
one more
relevant
time
again. Make Forrest Gump relevant again.
They just want it so bad, like so much so that I wish they could have their own election. I wish those people and Hillary Clinton could have their own election. Maybe not for the presidency, but like for like, I don't know, another little prize that we invent for them. But they deserve it. There's so much passion from both Hillary Clinton and people who hate Hillary Clinton that they deserve to do that dance forever.
I kind of like this idea of like, you know, when you do the ping pong championship where you have the brackets and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you have that loser bracket too. So like you can have.
I mean, I do kind of feel like I would be excited if people that washed out in political life like then ran against each other and we just voted. They just like ran like it was like a television show and then we vote at the end. Like I would love to see like Hillary Clinton versus Alan Keyes or something like that. Like just random names.
So
that's great. I feel okay. So I think I for one am fine with Florida no longer electing its own senators and having Florida senators just be like the fallback option for national people that lose presidential elections. Or pick another state. I would
say number one as a Floridian, that's offensive, but also as a Floridian, it sounds super lit. So like I'm really of two minds here.
That.
Yeah.
Hey, so as I've grown my hair out and switched to hipster frames and various incarnations of mustaches, a few people have said I either look, I can't tell which Mythbuster they're saying I look more like, but Adam Savage comes up a lot. And Adam Savage tweets out a photo of his dog. Justin, have you seen this?
No.
What do you think Adam Savage's dog looks like? And Andrew, before I show you as well, take a guess.
I'm guessing he's got a terrier, like a small, like Scottish Terrier type thing. Maybe a Jack Russell. No, like a Jack Russell, only furrier.
Okay.
Yeah, I think like a Scottish Terrier.
Justin?
Yeah, I don't know if I've been around his dog, because I've been around Adam Savage in like a social situation for which he might bring a dog, but I don't know. I have no guesses.
You ready? Everybody playing at home? Payout for sneakers. If you guessed that as Brian came to look more like Adam Savage, Adam Savage's dog would come to look more like Brian's dog, congrats. Give yourself 5 pop brownies.
Yeah, no, it is ridiculous how exactly. Although I saw like I guess I follow him on Twitter, and there's been several pictures of Maggie is the dog's name, and I think Maggie's quite a bit bigger. Like Sneakers is only a 10-pound dog, and from like a hallway picture, Maggie looks a lot bigger, but
that looks like a 10-pound dog to me. That looks like Sneakers.
Dog looks so much like our dog
just
when he was younger.
Just a few less fatty tumors and a little bit. I mean, okay, look at.
Oh my God! Look at this next one. He just looks exactly.
Actually, that's not even him. I don't. Think. But
okay.
It doesn't matter. They're all the same. They're all Sneakers. Fucking Sneakers. Little shitbag.
Who did Sneakers pee on?
Yeah, yes, is the answer.
No,
Who didn't he pee on?
He like lifted his leg on one of the.
I think it was Andrew Main.
No,
it
was Totally Rad guys.
Oh yeah, Dan Trachtenberg.
It was, yeah. I totally just.
My dog peed on the director of 10 Cloverfield Lane. Oh, I forgot that. Thank you for reviving that memory.
Like, he doesn't just go and pee on people. He pees on everything else, but like I guess he thought he was a
Great
chair
film,
leg.
It's great. It is great.
I mean, look, no one knows where we get our motivation from.
This is what I think of your movie that you haven't yet made. Pee.
By the way, also, I mean, to me, what's funny is how quickly I shifted from 10 Cloverfield Lane to now Dan Trachtenberg, and instantly goes to first episode of The Boys. Man, I wish any of our kids were older to enjoy The Boys. Andrew, did you ever watch The Boys?
Oh, The Boys.
Very good. Very good. That's
What
all
is
I
it
have to
about?
say. What if the Avengers were assholes who work for Disney? Also, spoiler alert: the Avengers are actually assholes who work for Disney. But what if they were not actors but actually had powers and worked for Disney? Answer: they'd be horrifying. It's amazing.
Okay, all right, I'm intrigued.
Man, anything else? We got 10 more minutes.
Now it gets very quiet.
That's a no-go.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Big shout out to Cargill. Very excited that he got that opportunity. That's and I'm sure they're gonna fucking crush it.
Yeah. I guess no details on when they're shooting or any of that stuff, but
Okay, I got a question for you. I just finished listening to the audiobook of The Expanse yesterday, but I've not watched the TV series. Are they the same? How,
yes.
Like, where is it? So I'm good then. I can now pull rank on people that watch The Expanse.
They are so much the same. The show is so good.
Isn't there like an Indian lady that runs the UN in the series? She didn't pop up in the book.
The series is so good that I was like, oh my God, universally, the book is always better than the TV show. So I started listening to the book, and I got about halfway through the first book, and I was like, this is just the same as the TV show. And then I just watched the TV show. And then also I stopped watching the TV show, so I still have to get caught up in it. But the TV show is so well executed that if you haven't watched the TV show, I think you're going to enjoy it quite a bit.
Oh, I see in chat that the Indian woman shows up in book 2. So later in the series.
Okay. So they're just sort of pulling. They're doing like a multivariate narrative where they're sort of pulling strains from the second book into the first series. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think this is spoilery talk when I've watched 2 seasons, and the first season is mainly, you never see Mars in the whole first season. You only see the United States, and you know that there's kind of a Cold War between the Earth and Mars. And actually, if anything, the parallel is Mars is Texas and the Earth is Europe. So it's like it's welcome to Europe, aka Earth versus Texas Mars. So Texas Mars doesn't show up until season 2, but
interesting. Okay.
Very clearly the the belt is all of the third world where all the proxy wars are being fought.
Right. Okay. Nice. All right. Cool. All right. You've motivated me to watch The Expanse.
It's way good. I mean, you liked Battlestar Galactica, right?
Love Battlestar Galactica. Absolutely love Battlestar Galactica. Probably
Where
my
did
favorite
it
series
fall
ever,
off for
including Star
you?
Trek.
What was the moment that it fell off for you? Or did it not
Battlestar or
fall
The
off at
Expanse?
all? Battlestar.
The last season kind of whiffed it. I thought Laura Roslin was such a great character, and they just wasted her in the last season. Like her cancer comes back, and she's just a background character. And it's like, it's okay if she's got cancer, but they just kind of push her to the side, which I thought was just a real waste of a really strong character. They also, at the beginning of Battlestar where they're like, there's Cylons, they're X models, and they've got a plan. That was the point where I was like, I don't think they had a plan. I think they had a plan for one season, and they did a good job up until the last season where they're like, angels, I guess, angel, and I was like, oh no, really?
What's funny is they almost would have gotten away with it in my heart, except for they had this little habit of releasing the writers' room meetings as podcasts, where you hear the literal writers Number one, refuse to even call the MacGuffins by their fake MacGuffin names, but instead call them out as what they actually are. They're like, all right, so we do the George W. Bush steals the election thing, and then we're doing the thing about the stem cells that'll cure the cancer. And then they're like Cylon stem. Yeah, and we all know. And it's like, and then they spend like 30 minutes following these threads that I'm just like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. And then somebody in the room says, yeah, no, I think that's the dumbest thing we could possibly do. Okay, well, let's dial it back. And then so you spend most of the episode listening to all the bad ideas that didn't make it out there. Oof.
Yeah, that's the first thing I learned in my art classes is we'd sit around and do the critique, and everybody would go, because like every time somebody would introduce some art that they did, now it's Joe's turn to talk about his work. I wanted to do this, but I couldn't get that, so I decided that I just do this instead. Meanwhile, you thought it was pretty amazing up until Joe opened his mouth and started talking about all the stuff he couldn't do. And then you're just like, oh, God, Joe,
There's definitely a piece that Bonnie created in ceramics in college that I thought was very impressive. And then one day she said, yeah, it's boobies and dongs. And then I looked and I'm like, oh, fuck, it is.
It had a little more to it.
Yeah, sure.
No, it did.
No,
but it is.
It's boobies and dongs. I want to tweet out a picture of it.
That's true. Well, yeah, I guess that'll happen. There was more to it. It was more about gender and a weird experience I had at a camp.
Intrigued?
Yeah, no, I don't know. Should I continue or not? Because then I'm just Joe at this point.
I could watch this for another hour. Keep going.
Yeah, no. Like, so I went to Girl Scout camp, and it was the first time I got to do like overnight Girl Scout like camp or whatever. And no, I was like one of the few people that actually went from our troop, and so I was there with just a bunch of weird people I didn't know. And then, but the bathrooms were just open. So I thought that was really weird. Like, you didn't have tops, and they were just cement blocks with the shower things. And then you had the boys section, and there were no boys at the camp. But I was just like, man, but if there were boys, I mean, I don't really feel like, they're over there, they'd be over there, and we're over here, and it's just totally open.
Just what, on the other side of a wall?
Yeah, on the other side of cinder
hearing
blocks.
the sound of their water falling off of their prepubescent bodies would bug you?
Well,
it's very risque for Texas.
You
need to have at least a concrete wall.
It was just weird. And then plus I wasn't comfortable. I mean, I'm 6th grade. I'm not comfortable showering in front of a bunch of people I don't know and stuff. So I'm kind of like Andrew Heaton at this point. I'm just not showering. I'm just dry. But anyways, so later on I referenced this piece where I just have the nozzles look like boobs on one side of a cinder block piece, and on the other side is just the faucets at the top. So I just isolated those two elements and left out the dongs. So that was my piece.
You got an A on that one.
I did. But I like it.
The A, of course, standing for the only other sexualized object that was not represented.
Oh, it was represented.
Oh, wait, hold on. All right.
Yeah.
I can't think of a better time to punch out. Dude, Andrew Heaton, what are you working on that you're most excited about these days?
You know what? I'm enjoying the sci-fi podcast I do, alienating the audience. It's fun. We've got a Battlestar Galactica episode coming out this week, in fact. And so, alienating the audience. Learn more about Battlestar.
Hells yeah. Justin, we're on tonight?
Indeed.
All right, buddy. I will see you beautiful people later.